I was standing in my own hallway holding Ruth's jewelry box when the movers carried my bed past me. The bed frame scraped against the doorway. Same doorway Ruth and I had carried it through 43 years ago when we'd first moved into 228 Birchwood Drive. The movers were young, early 20s maybe, wearing matching gray shirts with "Quick Move" printed across the back. They didn't look at me, just followed Tyler's directions like I wasn't there. Down the hall, Jessica was crying. "Dad, please. You're making this harder than it needs to be." I wasn't making anything. I'd come home from coffee with Walter to find a moving truck in my driveway and strangers carrying furniture out of the master bedroom. My bedroom. The room I'd shared with Ruth since 1981. The room where she'd died in my arms 12 months ago. Tyler appeared in the hallway, clipboard in hand like he was managing a corporate relocation. "The baby needs the bigger room, Howard. Better light, bigger closets. The ensuite bathroom is more convenient for night feedings. It just makes sense." I looked at the jewelry box in my hands. Mahogany, Ruth's initials carved in the lid. Her grandmother had given it to her. Inside were the pearl earrings I'd bought her for our 20th anniversary, her wedding ring, a bracelet our daughter had made in grade school. Tyler kept talking. "We've already moved your clothes to the spare room. You'll be more comfortable there anyway, quieter, faces the back garden." It faced the alley. The spare room faced the alley where the garbage trucks came through at 6 in the morning. Jessica touched my arm, her hand was cold. "Grandpa's room sounds better than the spare room anyway, doesn't it?" She was using her dental hygienist voice, the one she used on nervous patients. Soothing, reasonable. Like I was the one being difficult. I walked past them to the spare room. The movers had already set up the bed. I recognized it immediately. The frame from Jessica's childhood bedroom, white painted wood with little flowers carved into the headboard. She'd slept in that bed from age 7 until she'd left for college. Now I was supposed to sleep in it. A 72-year-old man in a child's bed. My clothes were in the closet, hangers crammed together. Ruth's clothes weren't there at all. I found them later in the garage. 3 boxes labeled Ruth's things in Jessica's handwriting. Her sweaters, the scarves she'd collected, the gardening jacket she'd worn every spring. All boxed up like donations waiting for goodwill. Back in the spare room, I sat on the edge of the narrow bed. From down the hall, I could hear the assembly sounds of nursery furniture, electric screwdriver, Tyler's voice giving instructions, Jessica laughing at something. They were making themselves at home, in my home, the one I'd bought 30 years before Jessica was born. That first night I didn't sleep. The spare room was smaller than I'd remembered, darker. Street noise came through the window from the alley behind the house, a dog barking somewhere, the hum of someone's air conditioner, sounds I'd never heard from the master bedroom at the front of the house. At 3 in the morning, I gave up and walked through the house. Everything looked different in the dark. The living room furniture Jessica had rearranged months ago. The kitchen where she'd reorganized the cabinets, and I still couldn't find my coffee mugs without opening 3 drawers. The hallway where family photos used to hang. She'd replaced them with modern art prints, black frames, abstract shapes. Our wedding photo was gone. The picture of Ruth in her garden was gone. I found them in the garage. 1 box labeled old photos in Jessica's neat handwriting. Under it, 3 more boxes. Ruth's things. I opened the top one, her sweaters folded carefully. The blue cardigan she'd worn every Sunday to church. The red one I'd bought her the Christmas before she got sick. I lifted the blue one out and it still smelled like her perfume. White diamonds. She'd worn it for 30 years. I sat down on the concrete garage floor at 3:15 in the morning and cried for the first time since her funeral. The next day I avoided Jessica and Tyler, stayed in the spare room with the door closed. Heard them moving around the house, talking about paint colors for the nursery, debating between cream and pale yellow. Their voices bright and excited while I sat on a child's bed trying to understand what had happened. The 3rd day, anger started breaking through the grief. It came in waves. I'd be sitting there numb and then suddenly I'd remember Tyler's clipboard, his matter-of-fact voice. "The baby needs the bigger room," like it was obvious, like I had no say. I went to my home office. The filing cabinet was still there in the corner, undisturbed. 4 drawers of organized records, 43 years of documentation, everything labeled, everything filed chronologically. The Postal Service had trained me well. I remembered something else too. About 3 months after they'd moved in, Jessica had asked me about the house paperwork. Estate planning, she'd called it. Tyler was pushing her to ask. I could tell by the way she kept glancing at her phone between sentences. I told her we'd talk about it later, that I wasn't ready to think about that stuff yet, not with Ruth's absence still so fresh. She'd hugged me and said she understood, that there was no rush. I realize now she took that as confirmation. Confirmation the house would be hers eventually. I thought I was postponing a difficult conversation. She thought I was confirming her inheritance. The fourth day I woke up clear-headed. I went to the filing cabinet and pulled out the property documents. The warranty deed from March 22, 1981. Howard James Brennan, sole owner. Purchase price $57,000. Jessica would have been negative 4 years old. The mortgage satisfaction letter from September 14, 2006. Paid in full after 25 years. Jessica had been 19, away at college, studying to be a dental hygienist. She'd never contributed $1 to this house. The current property tax bill, $7,214, paid in full from my pension last December. My name at the top. My bank account number at the bottom. They've been living here for 6 months. 6 months of treating this house like it was theirs, redecorating, making plans, talking about when we renovate the bathroom and when we redo the driveway. Tyler had even mentioned getting our equity appraised last week. Our equity in my house, that I'd paid for before he was born. I picked up the phone and called Walter. We needed to talk. Tomorrow morning if he was free, he was free. Walter's office was in the same building where he'd practiced for 40 years before retiring. 3rd floor, corner unit, still had his name on the door even though he only took consultation cases now. He'd handled the house purchase back in '81, reviewed Ruth's will when she got sick. He knew every detail of my financial life. He looked at the property deed for a long time without speaking. Finally, he set it down on his desk and looked at me over his reading glasses. Howard, have they paid you any rent? No. Utilities? I pay everything. Property tax? I showed him the bill. $7,214. My checking account statement from December. He was quiet again. Then he asked the question I'd been avoiding. What are they paying you for living there? Nothing, I said. Their family. They said they wanted to help me after Ruth died. Walter leaned back in his chair. It creaked the same way it had for 30 years. And now they've moved you out of your own bedroom. I didn't answer. Didn't need to. He pulled out a legal pad and started writing. This is financial elder abuse, Howard, possibly exploitation. They're living rent-free in a property worth $680,000, paying no expenses, and they've displaced you from the primary bedroom. His pen moved across the page in quick, precise strokes. Have they asked you to sign anything? Transfer of ownership, power of attorney? No, nothing. Good, that's good. He looked up. Do they know the house is solely in your name? They've never asked to see the deed, but they assume it'll be theirs eventually. I thought about Jessica's estate planning conversation 3 months ago. Yes, Walter explained what he could do, document everything, formal eviction if necessary. But he was gentle about it too. She's your daughter, your pregnant daughter. You need to decide what outcome you want here. I wanted my bedroom back. I wanted Ruth's things out of the garage. I wanted to stop feeling like a guest in my own house. We talked for 2 hours. When I left, I had copies of everything. The deed, the mortgage satisfaction, property tax records going back 43 years. Bank statements showing every payment. Walter said to keep documenting, watch for any attempts to claim ownership or forge documents, and to call him immediately if anything escalated. It escalated. That week Tyler started referring to the house as our place in every conversation. Told his friend on the phone that we're building equity, and when we sell in 5 years. He made plans to renovate the downstairs bathroom, talking about fixtures and tile like he was flipping his own investment property. Thursday evening I heard him in the kitchen with Jessica. Maybe we should start looking at senior communities for your dad. Nothing fancy, just somewhere he'd be around people his own age. Have activities. Jessica's voice was quieter. You think he needs that? He's getting older. Memory issues, confusion. It might be better for everyone. I didn't have memory issues. I didn't have confusion. I had a daughter and son-in-law who wanted me out of my own house. Friday afternoon, Mrs. Patel from next door knocked on my door. She'd lived at 226 Birchwood Drive for 18 years. She and her husband had been at Ruth's funeral. She'd brought me casseroles for 3 weeks after. Now she stood on my porch with concern written across her face. Are you all right, Howard? I'm fine. She looked past me into the house. I saw the movers last week. Saw them taking your bed to the spare room. Jessica thought the baby should have the master bedroom. Mrs. Patel's expression shifted from concern to something sharper. This is your house. It's complicated, is it? Her voice was firm. You're Howard Brennan. You've lived here since 1981. You own this house. There's nothing complicated about that. I didn't know what to say. She softened. I've been watching the changes over the months. The redecorating, I thought maybe Jessica was helping you. The workshop becoming a nursery, that made sense for a baby. Even your wife's garden tools disappearing, I told myself grief makes people do things. But when I saw your face that day, Howard, when those movers carried your bed past you, I knew this wasn't help, this was something else. I'm handling it, I said. She didn't look convinced. I have a friend, Margaret. She works in elder services. Can I ask her advice? I don't want trouble. Mrs. Patel touched my arm. Sometimes trouble finds us whether we want it or not. She called Margaret that evening. I didn't know about it until later, but Margaret asked her 3 questions. Does Howard own the house? Yes. Do they pay rent? Mrs. Patel didn't think so. Did he agree to move rooms? The look on his face said no. Margaret told her to call Adult Protective Services. If you think moving someone out of their own bedroom is cruel, you haven't heard what came next. Because 3 days later, Jessica told me a social worker was coming to visit. Subscribe to this channel because what that social worker discovered in one afternoon changed everything Tyler and Jessica believed about their future. And when she checked those property records on her phone, their entire world came crashing down. Monday morning, Jessica found me in the kitchen. She was smiling, excited. Dad, great news. There's a social worker coming Wednesday for a home visit. It's routine for first-time parents. They just want to see the home environment, make sure everything's safe for the baby. A social worker, it's completely normal, nothing to worry about. She poured herself orange juice. We're going to clean the house really well, make sure everything looks good. Maybe you could stay in your room during the visit. We don't want to overwhelm her with too many people. My room. She meant the spare room. Sure, I said. Jessica and Tyler spent Tuesday cleaning, organizing the nursery, which was still my bedroom in my mind, putting away clutter. Tyler even mopped the kitchen floor, something I'd never seen him do before. They had no idea what was coming. Neither did I. Eleanor Westbrook arrived at 10 in the morning on Wednesday. She was 58, professional but warm, wearing a navy blazer and carrying a leather portfolio. She shook hands with Jessica and Tyler in the foyer, then looked around the house with the practiced eye of someone who'd seen everything. This is actually my second visit to your home, she said pleasantly. I stopped by last Thursday when you were out, spoke briefly with you on the phone about scheduling today's appointment, and did some preliminary research. Jessica smiled, nervous. Of course, we're so glad you're here. Eleanor asked for a tour. Jessica led her through the living room, pointing out the safety features they'd already installed. Outlet covers, corner guards on the coffee table. Tyler followed behind, adding details about their plans for baby-proofing the stairs. I watched from the kitchen. Eleanor's eyes moved constantly, taking in details. She paused at the mantel where the family photos were displayed, all recent pictures, Jessica and Tyler at their wedding, a maternity photo shoot, an ultrasound image in a silver frame. These are lovely, Eleanor said. Do you have photos of your parents, Jessica? Some, Jessica said quickly. In storage. We're still organizing after Mom passed. Eleanor made a note in her portfolio. They showed her the nursery, the room that used to be mine and Ruth's. The crib was assembled now, white wood with a mobile hanging above it, pale yellow walls, a changing table where Ruth's dresser used to be. Beautiful space, Eleanor said. Plenty of natural light. Tyler beamed. We wanted the baby to have the best room in the house. Eleanor turned to Jessica. And where is your father's room? Jessica hesitated. The spare room, down the hall. May I see it? The spare room looked even smaller with 3 of us standing in it. The child's bed with the flower carvings. My clothes crammed in the closet. The single window facing the alley. Eleanor took her time looking around, noted the size. The lack of natural light, the distance from the bathroom. And this is where you sleep now, Mr. Brennan? I nodded. In your own home. Something in her tone made Jessica stiffen. Dad prefers this room, it's quieter. Eleanor turned to me. Is that true? Before I could answer, Tyler stepped forward. Look, I don't know what you're implying, but we're taking care of Howard. He wanted us here. Eleanor's expression didn't change. I'd like to speak with Mr. Brennan privately, please. Jessica started to protest. Eleanor held up a hand. It's standard protocol. I need to interview all household members separately. They left, reluctantly. I heard their footsteps down the hall, then whispered conversation in the kitchen. Eleanor closed the door and sat down in the single chair by the window. Her voice was gentler now. Howard, can you tell me about this living arrangement? So I did, all of it. Ruth dying 12 months ago. Jessica and Tyler moving in 6 months ago to help me through my grief. The gradual changes, the redecorating, the workshop becoming a nursery. Ruth's things moved to the garage. The bedroom displacement a week ago. Did you agree to move rooms? They said the baby needed the bigger room. Better light, bigger closets, but did you agree? I came home and it was already happening. The movers were here. My bed was being carried out. Alina made notes. Then she asked the question Walter had asked. Do they pay rent? No. Utilities? I pay everything. Property taxes? I showed her the bill from my desk drawer. My name, my bank account. Alina asked to see the property documents. I took her to my home office, opened the filing cabinet, pulled out the deed from 1981. She read it carefully, asked if I had the mortgage satisfaction letter. I showed her that too. She photographed both documents with her phone, asking my permission first for her case file. Then she opened something on her phone, typed for a moment, waited. Her expression shifted subtly. Mr. Brennan, I've just checked the public property records. This house is registered solely in your name. There have been no recent transfers, no joint tenancy additions. You're current on all property taxes. Is that correct? That's correct. And your daughter and son-in-law believe they have ownership rights. They've never asked to see the deed, but they talk about the house like it's theirs, make plans for renovations. Tyler mentioned equity last week. Alina closed her portfolio. I need to speak with your daughter and son-in-law. Would you like to be present for that conversation? Yes, I said, I would. We found them in the living room. Jessica was sitting on the couch, hands folded over her pregnant belly. Tyler was standing by the window, arms crossed. Alina asked them to sit down. Jessica, Tyler, I need to clarify some things about this living situation. Jessica smiled hopefully. Is everything okay with the house, for the baby? I need to ask you directly. Do you have ownership documents for this property? Tyler frowned. It's my father-in-law's house, but you've referred to it multiple times as our place. You've made statements about building equity, planning renovations, and your long-term plans for the property. Well, obviously when Howard passes, it goes to Jessica. So for all practical purposes, Alina interrupted, you're living rent-free in someone else's home, and you moved the owner into the spare room. Jessica's face crumpled. We're helping him. He was depressed after Mom died. He needed family around. Helping him by taking his bedroom. The baby needs space, Tyler said, his voice rising. We're not doing anything wrong. This is family business. Alina opened her portfolio. Let me share what I've found. This property at 228 Birchwood Drive is registered solely to Howard James Brennan. It was purchased in March of 1981 for $57,000. The mortgage was satisfied in full in September of 2006. Current property value is approximately $680,000. Howard pays all property taxes, currently $7,214 annually. He pays all utilities. There is no rental agreement, no lease. You contribute nothing financially to this household. We're family, Jessica whispered. We don't charge family. Alina's voice remained calm. You don't charge him. He owns the house. Tyler stood up. This is ridiculous. We're being investigated like criminals because we're taking care of an elderly man. You displaced him from his own bedroom without his full consent. That's a form of elder abuse. It's called displacement, and when combined with the financial exploitation, Tyler's face was red now. We haven't taken a dime from him. You've taken 6 months of free housing, free utilities. You've appropriated the primary bedroom. You've removed his late wife's belongings to storage boxes in the garage. You've eliminated his presence from family photos. The mail on your kitchen counter is addressed solely to you two. And according to Mr. Brennan, you've discussed placing him in a senior facility so you can have the house to yourselves. The room went silent. Jessica was crying now. Dad, we didn't mean. We thought we were helping. I spoke for the first time since we'd sat down. My voice was quiet, but every word was clear. I never said you could have my bedroom. I came home and it was done. You cried and made me feel guilty for even questioning it. But that was my room, Ruth's and my room, for 43 years. And you put her things in the garage like they were trash. Dad, you've been treating this house like it's yours. Redecorating, making plans, telling me what I can and can't do, but you never asked me. You never once asked if I wanted to sign the house over to you. You just assumed. Tyler moved toward the door. This is insane. I'm not listening to this. Alina stood. Mr. Costa, you can leave if you choose, but I'll be filing a report with Adult Protective Services. I'm recommending family counseling if you continue to reside here. If you do stay, there needs to be a formal agreement. Rent, boundaries, mutual respect. What's happening here is displacement and financial exploitation. Those are serious concerns. She handed me a folder. resources for elder law, legal aid information, support services. Tyler left, just walked out the front door and got in his car. Jessica stayed on the couch, crying into her hands. The nursery was silent down the hall. The house felt enormous suddenly. Eleanor touched my shoulder before she left. "You have rights, Mr. Brennan, don't forget that." After she was gone, I sat in my chair, the one Ruth and I had bought together at a furniture store that didn't exist anymore, and listened to my daughter cry in what used to be my bedroom. Tyler's mother called that evening. Her voice was sharp, accusatory. "You're kicking out your pregnant daughter." "I'm not kicking anyone out," I said. "I just want my bedroom back. You're putting your comfort over your grandchild's needs. Do you know how selfish that sounds?" I hung up. Jessica didn't speak to me for 2 days. She stayed in the master bedroom with the door closed. Tyler was still at his mother's house. I remained in the spare room, listening to the house settle around me, wondering how everything had gone so wrong. Thursday morning, I called Walter. He listened while I explained the social worker's visit, Eleanor's findings, Tyler storming out, Jessica's silence. When I finished, he asked what I wanted to happen next. "I don't want to evict my pregnant daughter," I said. "Then you need boundaries, clear ones." Walter's voice was firm. "Your house, your rules. If they stay, it's on your terms." He drafted a formal residency agreement that afternoon. I picked it up Friday morning. The document was 3 pages long, typed on his law firm letterhead. The terms were straightforward. If Jessica and Tyler chose to remain in the house, the master bedroom would be returned to me immediately. They would pay $400 monthly to contribute toward household expenses. They would participate in family therapy. Tyler would apologize in writing for the displacement. Both would acknowledge in writing that the house belonged to me and would remain solely in my name. I found Jessica in the kitchen Saturday morning. She was making tea, moving slowly. 8 months pregnant now, her belly prominent under an oversized sweater. "I need to talk to you," I said. She didn't look at me, just kept stirring honey into her tea. I set the agreement on the kitchen table. "If you and Tyler want to stay here, these are the terms." She read it slowly. 3 pages took her 10 minutes. When she looked up, her eyes were red. "You're charging your pregnant daughter rent. I'm asking you to contribute to your own living expenses like an adult. $400 doesn't even cover the utilities and food. Your mother and I never lived anywhere without paying our way. Tyler will never agree to this. Then Tyler needs to decide what's more important, his pride or his family." She left the agreement on the table and went back to the bedroom. Tyler returned Sunday afternoon. I heard his truck in the driveway, heard him and Jessica talking in low, urgent voices. An hour later, Jessica brought the agreement to my office. "We're moving out," she said. Her face was set, determined. "Tyler says we're not signing this. He says it's insulting that you're treating us like tenants instead of family. We'll give you 2 weeks to find other arrangements." "Other arrangements? This is my house. I don't need to find anything." 2 weeks, she repeated. "Then we're gone." The next 14 days were the longest of my life. They packed their belongings in silence. Boxes accumulated in the hallway. Tyler brought home moving supplies from his work, bubble wrap, packing tape, banker's boxes. They dismantled the nursery piece by piece. The crib, the changing table, the rocking chair Jessica had been so excited about. They tried to take some of Ruth's furniture too. I found Tyler in the living room Thursday evening, wrapping Ruth's antique writing desk in moving blankets. The desk her grandmother had left her, the one with the secret compartment where Ruth kept her journals. "That stays," I said. Tyler didn't even look up. "We're taking the furniture from the living room. That was Ruth's. It stays. We're family. This stuff would have been Jessica's anyway." I stepped between him and the desk. "Family asks permission." He finally met my eyes. "You're really going to fight us over furniture? I'm really going to keep my late wife's belongings in my house." He unwrapped the desk roughly, leaving the blankets in a pile on the floor. Moving day was a Friday. Gray sky, cold wind for June. The kind of morning that promised rain. A moving truck arrived at 8. 2 different movers this time. They loaded furniture I'd watched Jessica and Tyler buy over the past 6 months. A sectional couch, a flat-screen television, kitchen appliances I'd never asked for. Jessica made 3 trips to the truck, carrying boxes. She didn't look at me once. Tyler loaded the last box and climbed into the truck. Jessica went to the kitchen and set her house keys on the counter. Not the table, not even handed to me. Just left them there like she was checking out of a hotel. "Are we going to talk about this?" I asked. She turned around. Her face was pale, exhausted. "What's there to talk about? You made your choice. I wanted my bedroom back. That's all." "No, Dad, you wanted us gone." She walked to the door. "Congratulations. You got your wish. They drove away without looking back. Mrs. Patel came over that evening. She'd watched the whole thing from her front window. She brought butter chicken and naan bread still warm from her kitchen. Did I do the right thing? I asked. We sat at my kitchen table. The house felt enormous around us. Too many empty rooms. You protected yourself, she said. That's always right. Later that week, Mr. Liu from across the street stopped me while I was getting the mail. He was 76, a retired engineer, had lived on Birchwood Drive since the 80s. Saw your daughter move out, he said. Word travels fast. He shook his head. I watched them take over your house for months. Thought about saying something. Wish I had. It's done now, I said. He handed me a tomato from his garden, still warm from the sun. My wife and I, we think you're braver than most people would be. I didn't feel brave. I felt empty. It took me 3 days to move back into the master bedroom. Not because it was physically difficult, because every step brought memories of Ruth. The first night, I stood in the doorway for 20 minutes before I could walk inside. The yellow paint on the walls was gone, painted over with the cream color Jessica had chosen for the nursery, but the windows were the same. The view of the maple tree we'd planted in '83. I moved slowly. Carried my clothes back from the spare room in small loads. Hung Ruth's jewelry box back on the dresser. Found our wedding photo in the garage box and returned it to the nightstand. Her favorite throw blanket, the blue one her sister had knitted, went back across the foot of the bed. The room smelled like fresh paint and emptiness. I opened the windows. June air filled the space. Gradually it started feeling like home again. 2 months passed. I got used to the quiet. Made coffee every morning in a kitchen I could navigate again. Moved Ruth's garden tools back from the garage to the shed where they belonged. Mrs. Patel and I had coffee on Wednesdays. Walter stopped by to play chess on Sunday afternoons. The house felt too big sometimes, but it felt like mine. Then Jessica showed up on a Tuesday in August. 8 months pregnant now, maybe more. She stood on the porch crying before she even knocked. I opened the door and she looked at me with Ruth's eyes and I couldn't stay angry anymore. I made tea, Ruth's teapot, the blue ceramic one with the chip on the spout. We sat at the kitchen table where we'd sat 1,000 times before everything fell apart. I'm sorry, Dad, she was crying into her tea. Tyler kept saying we deserved the house because you're old and we're starting a family. I believed him. I forgot whose house it actually was. It's not about the house, I said. It's about respect. I know, her voice was small. You were grieving Mom and we made it worse. We took your bedroom, Dad, the bedroom where Mom died, where you held her, and I let Tyler convince me it was reasonable. Where are you living now? With Tyler's friend in a basement apartment. His mother kicked us out after 3 weeks. She ran into Mrs. Patel at the grocery store. Mrs. Patel told her what really happened. Tyler's mother was horrified he'd lied to her about the situation. She gave us 2 weeks to leave. I didn't offer to let them move back in. Instead, I offered to help them find an apartment. First month's rent and security deposit as a baby gift, but they would live independently, build their own life. Can I still bring the baby to visit? She asked. I want to be a grandfather, I said. I don't want to be a landlord to my daughter's family. Those are 2 different things. 3 weeks later, Jessica called. She'd had a girl. They'd named her Ruth. After your mother, she said on the phone. She was crying. I want her to know about Grandma. I want to do better than I did. I cried too. Now it's been 6 months. They live in a small apartment on the east side. 2 bedrooms, affordable, theirs. They visit every Sunday. Tyler apologized eventually. Stiff, uncomfortable, but sincere. He's learning. Right now, baby Ruth is asleep in a portable crib next to my chair. Jessica and Tyler are downstairs making lunch. The smell of coffee and baby powder fills the house. Our wedding photo is back on the dresser. Ruth's jewelry box in its proper place. My name on every piece of mail. My house, my rules. My family, in the right order this time. If you're watching this and you've ever been pushed aside in your own home, ever been made to feel like a burden when you're actually the foundation, let me know in the comments. Have you ever had to remind someone that respect isn't inherited, it's earned? Sometimes the best lesson you can teach people is letting them face the natural consequences of their choices. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is set a boundary and hold it, even when it breaks your heart. Until next time, remember, quiet doesn't mean weak. It just means you're choosing your battles carefully.